Hey guys, this is going to be my review of episode 8 of the first season of Cruel Summer. There is another season on the way, it's already been renewed. So episode 8, and it is called Proof, and that obviously refers to the proof that Jeanette was handed by Derek at the end of the last episode, the transcript from Kate's online conversation, which proved that she at least lied about being kidnapped by Martin. Then she actually went along willingly. What happened after that, we're not quite sure, but at least it sort of kind of shows Kate to be a liar in that instance. So she shows this to her lawyer, and obviously the lawyer thinks then they've struck gold, basically. And that's all we get of that in this episode. So the theme of the episode is first day at school, so first day at school over the 3 years, and it is a Jeanette focused episode. We see her sort of starting to first come in contact with the world of Kate and her friends, obviously Jamie as well, and just how she starts to enjoy it, just enjoying really just being introduced to them and them acknowledging her in any way, regardless of whether it's positive or negative. So there's a couple of examples of this. There's in 93, when everyone's basically bullying her and treats her like a freak. She's just doing her best to get Jamie's attention, and he walks past her at one point and just calls her like a jailbird, and she actually smiles at that because it's like she's actually been acknowledged by him. And this is obviously contrasted with the later scenes where they've obviously had a relationship, and there's the stuff with Kate. So by contrast, later Jamie is the one pursuing her. He's actually trying to get Jeanette to talk to him about the whole situation. And we also see them obviously on more friendly terms, or starting to get closer in the middle part, in the 94 section, where like he notices that she had her braces out and sort of compliments it on her and says, hey, that's really cool, that sort of thing. And another example of what I was talking about is when, and I'll talk about this scene more, but when Jeanette sort of comes up to and follows Joy out of the school when she's been to see Martin, and sort of just introduces herself, and Joy really being very snobby, sort of dismiss, oh yeah, you're Cindy Turner's kid, yeah, I know you. And so at one point Jeanette says, if there's anything I can do, please let me know. And boy, is Joy snobby and snooty. It's like, well, what in the world could I possibly want from you? And again, it's the same effect. Jeanette actually smiles. It's almost like, yeah, I got a reaction out of her. But it's just being in that zone almost for Jeanette, and we see the early stages of that. But we also get some interesting stuff, just little tidbits with some of the characters, Jeanette, Vincent and Mallory, because obviously in the early sections, in the 93 sections, they're trying to rattle off this list of pranks, and we see how it sort of impacts like their friendship and just little things around school. So we see again Vincent in the very early stages of his like relationship with Ben, but how they're still keeping it under wraps from the school, and Ben is like a big football star in school, and we see how he's very popular with the girls, and that makes him uncomfortable because of obviously of his sexuality, and how that they have to be very subtle. They can't like show their affections in public. So there's this stuff with like one of Kate's friends, for example, one of the regular characters we've seen like asking him out, and because he sort of tries to turn her down in a nice way and just says, I've got something that day. And she takes it hard, and it's sort of embarrassing, but it's one of those things where he doesn't know really how to handle it. But in any case, like, the first proper conversation between him and Vincent, and the first sort of blossoming of their relationship, is when the gang, Vincent, Mallory and Jeanette are pulling this prank, this sort of, it's to do with like the video club, where they've essentially filmed all the teachers around school in embarrassing sort of scenarios. And I don't quite know how this works, or if they would even have the technology in 93, but what they're doing is they're playing all the tapes, and it's going out over the school so everyone can see it, and that's the prank. But Mallory's actually doing it, but she wants like Jeanette and Vincent to cover her to like watch, and I think they're meant to cause a distraction or something like that. But Vincent gets distracted because he bumps into Ben, and they bond over their losses. They've both lost their mother kind of prematurely, I guess. Ben's maybe particularly tragic because she died of cancer. And we see them have this chat, and it's a nice scene, and they start to hold hands and they talk. And there's also this thing which isn't confirmed, but I think we're meant to feel it. Then Ben, his one regret with his mother, or biggest regret maybe, is that he never told her about his sexuality, about being homosexual. But that's when they first sort of meet properly and start talking, and that's why Vincent isn't there to watch Mallory. He's obviously wanted to talk to Ben for a while and just takes that chance. And at the same time, Jeanette is sort of distracted by Joy going into Martin Harris's office and overhearing that conversation. And the conversation is that Joy's asking Martin Harris if he's seen Kate, because she's gone missing. And Martin confirms, because he like phones up and checks about any absences, and Kate is like one of those absences, and of course she's at his house. So he's trying to keep the situation quite calm and sort of talks Joy into not getting the police involved at this moment. And obviously he's looking after his own interests. So it's a really effective scene. It also shows that at this point Joy is kind of seduced by him and kind of likes him. I mean, not necessarily in a romantic way, but she's certainly taken in by him. But anyway, Jeanette overhears this whole thing. So again, I think it is just this way of Jeanette being involved in their world. She just sees it as that sort of thing. And that's when we get the scene where she like chases Joy out and sort of starts talking to her. But yeah, it sets off certain ripples. Like there's a fight later with Mallory and with Jeanette, and this is when Jeanette really lays into her, really says, well, you're trying to be the boss of everything. You're trying to boss us all around. We don't really have a say. And that's when they really have a fight, because Mallory's like quite mean about her trying to be Kate's friend, and Jeanette replies and says, well, maybe I need new friends. And Mallory's like, well, if you feel that way, then okay, come on, Vincent. And Jeanette's like, well, I didn't mean Vincent. So that's kind of, I think, like the falling out officially between Jeanette and Mallory. And what I think that's mostly the meat, but there's other stuff like with Jamie, because what we actually see is then Jamie, when he was going through a bad time kind of post Kate being kidnapped, and then the fallout with Jeanette is then he one day was not concentrating, and he ended up in a car crash, and Ben happened to be in the passenger seat. So Ben got injured, and that sort of put his like football career sort of on hold, and sort of turned things really, because we've seen Ben in the wheelchair now. And there's sort of a thing where by Ben, when Vincent comes to Ben when he's obviously being loaded into the ambulance, and Ben's reluctant for them to be like seen holding hands. But so there's that stuff. So Jamie, who insists on seeing Jeanette so they can talk, which is in the present, tells her about that. So she's obviously quite sympathetic towards him then. And then she notices a tape recorder, and she asks, well, what is that? And at first my mind was a bit, well, is he filming her or taping the conversation for some reason? But what it is he's got a tape of like a phone message recording from Christmas Eve from that year, from around the time when things started going pear-shaped. And he plays her the tape, and it's just someone kind of singing like a Christmas carol. He said he got it on Christmas Eve, and I couldn't really make out what all that was. So Jeanette's like, I've got to go, and she goes over to Mallory's, and obviously they're very much, not friends, not getting on, not speaking, but she says, can I have that snow globe back? And Mallory kind of denies even having it, and why would I keep it, that sort of thing. And she's lying. We see her go back in her room, and it's under her bed. Now, first of all, I guess that shows that Mallory still has some sort of like longing for the past and for a friendship with Jeanette, because she's held on to it. But also, why does Jeanette want it back? I wasn't quite sure if it's just something that stirred in her when Jamie told her this, or if it's just then she just, if there is another reason. I'm not sure if it's crucial to something, so I guess we'll find out if it is. But there's that, and then there's the stuff with Harris, because obviously the one of the tapes they were playing was of him, and it's on the morning after Kate has like gone to him, but the tape is of him leaving the house, and it is something a little embarrassing, because he's trying to wipe something from his foot, and he obviously snaps at Mallory because he catches her, and he takes the tape, and it's just this thing where he's like watching the tape back later, and then I think he erases it. But so I'm not sure if there's anything actually incriminating, or if he's just being paranoid. And there could be, obviously he's wiping something off his shoe, which could be something to do with Kate. But yeah, that's the episode. Pretty solid stuff. Again, that's Cool Summer episode 8. Just 2 more to go. I'm looking forward to the rest of it. So let me know your thoughts on episode 8 in the comments below. Are you enjoying this show? Let me know your overall thoughts. Also, like and subscribe, and share me out on social media. Speaking of new shows, another one I'm covering at the moment is the Stars Play drama Heels, about the world of wrestling and an independent promoter and his promotion in particular, some of the drama that goes on behind the scenes. That just started this weekend, so just the 1 episode so far, but you can find my review of that first episode up on the channel, and I'll be back with more Cruel Summer soon. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
The city's crowded, my friends are away, and I'm on